All right, so get this. Have you ever thought about how a single thought you have, like, isn't just some kind of thing sitting in your head? It's
Yeah.
more like, well, it's more like a wave,
Yeah.
It's active and moving, and it could even create, like, big changes out there in the world.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly where we're going today, digging into this idea of resonance.
Resonance.
Yeah, all across these different waves,
Okay.
We've got mental waves, vocal waves, even these biological waves, all kind of intertwined.
So it's like our insides are affecting our outsides.
Exactly. Our thoughts and intentions, they could be like interacting with everything around us. Maybe even reaching into what we think of as like spiritual stuff.
Okay, we've got some seriously thought-provoking stuff to unpack here today.
Definitely a lot to explore.
How our mental state, like, shapes what we should... See how we could connect with the energy of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Right, right.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and we're going to try to break it down for everyone listening.
Make it easy to digest.
Exactly. So you can really grasp the idea of waves and resonance,
Yeah.
what they mean at their core, and how you can use these insights in your own life.
Without needing a PhD in physics.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with this single thought wave idea.
Right.
What is that exactly?
Basically, it says a thought isn't just static, it's dynamic.
Okay.
It's a wave. It's active and moving. And crucially, even a single thought, like the smallest little thought,
Yeah.
has a vibration.
A vibration.
Like it has its own energetic quality.
So it's like almost like flicking a guitar string.
Yeah,
You get that vibration even from one little flick.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that vibration, that single thought, it leads us to the really powerful concept of resonance or, oh,
Ooh.
yeah. And the source material, like, it doesn't mess around. It says the power of resonance is she,
Yeah.
like unbelievably immense. It can destroy everything and it can create everything. It's a powerful force.
Wow, so this resonance thing, it's not something to take lightly.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. The source gives this analogy about how your mental wave, that vibration from your thought,
Yeah.
could actually mess with my mental picture of, let's say, a Buddha.
Really?
Yeah, or even like break apart a negative thought in my head, like a demon or something.
Oh, so my thoughts could be messing with your thoughts?
That's the idea. It shows how interactive these waves are.
Right.
They're not passive. They influence each other through resonance.
So it's not just having a thought, it's like sending that thought out.
Exactly. And that thought can have an impact.
Yeah.
And this takes us to the idea of sustained thought waves, or CO. It's like that ripple becoming a whole series of waves.
Okay.
It's a constant flow of mental energy.
Like a stream of consciousness.
Right. And these thought waves, they can carry more complex information, have further reaching effects. The text gives these really out there examples.
Okay. Like what?
Like a thought flashing across continents to America or Japan.
Wow.
Instantly. Even traveling through time or transforming into like a heroic fantasy scenario.
It's like our thoughts have superpowers.
In a way, it shows the boundless potential of our minds when they're focused.
Okay, so how does all this abstract wave resonance stuff apply to our everyday lives?
Well, the source material gets into that. It uses the example of like chaotic movement eventually syncing up into neat rows.
Neat rows.
Yeah, it's like a visual representation of how resonance works.
So like a crowd of people moving randomly, then suddenly everyone's walking in step?
Precisely. Like something shifts and they find a shared rhythm. And to make it even more concrete, they bring up sound waves.
Oh, yeah.
We all know how sound vibrates, how different sounds can resonate, like a guitar string making another one vibrate nearby.
That's a good way to put it. It's something we can all experience.
Right, it's a gateway to understanding this broader concept of waves.
So these waves, they're not just mental, they're everywhere.
Exactly. And the text even mentions how different life forms might have their own biological waves.
Biological waves.
Yeah, it's like this deeper level of interconnectedness across all living things.
Okay, so it's like we're all vibrating on some level.
That's the idea. But where the source really digs deep into resonance is in the context of spiritual practice,
Spiritual practice.
specifically Buddhism,
So how does this wave stuff tie into Buddhism?
where it explores the relationship between our internal waves and the waves associated with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Right. The idea is to achieve a state of aligned frequency with these enlightened beings.
Yippee.
Exactly. And the text acknowledges that this might sound like a huge leap, Like, we're not exactly Buddha-like in our daily lives.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Right. It even says we always contradict the Buddha.
We often don't align with those enlightened principles.
So how do we bridge that gap?
The key is the intention to get on the same frequency.
So just by trying to align ourselves.
Right, right. That effort itself can start an automatic adjustment process.
So it's not like we have to be perfect Buddhas right away?
No, it's more about setting the intention and moving in that direction. Like tuning a radio dial.
Exactly. You might not hit the station perfectly at first, but you get closer with each adjustment.
And the text uses Guanyin Bodhisattva as an example, right?
Yes, Kuan Yin, who resonates with both the Buddhas above and sentient beings below.
So Guanyin's like a bridge between those realms?
Exactly. And that ability to be on the same frequency is what allows Kuan Yin to help alleviate suffering.
Okay, so the same frequency idea, it's not just theoretical, it has real effects.
Right. And the text even talks about using names like Kuan Yin's as an anchor point for that same frequency.
Anchor point.
Yeah. Like by reciting the name So,
Yeah.
you're tuning yourself to Kuan Yin's specific vibration.
Interesting. So it's like a way to connect.
Exactly. And when that connection happens, Kuan Yin's compassion and merit can become more present in your own life.
Okay, and I remember the text gave an example about encountering negative entities.
Yes. In those situations, reciting Kuan Yin's name can create that same frequency link.
Right.
And the result isn't necessarily like a magic spell. It's more about the compassion that manifests through that connection.
So it can shift the energy of the situation.
Exactly. The negative entities might even back off, become more receptive. It's all about establishing that resonance.
So this resonance idea, it works with other Buddhists too, right?
Definitely. Each one has their own specific qualities and outcomes.
Like the medicine Buddha.
Exactly. Aligning with the medicine Buddha can bring about all sorts of benefits. Increased blessings, wisdom, ethical discipline, right? View, diligence, ever o steep river, skillful mental training, even a deeper understanding of profound meanings, A.L. Young.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it also mentioned freedom from arrogance, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a very holistic transformation just from aligning with the medicine Buddha's frequency.
And what about Amitabha Buddha?
Right? So with Amitabha, the immediate benefits might not be as obvious in this lifetime.
Oh, okay.
But the main outcome is rebirth in the Pure Land, a realm that's super conducive to enlightenment.
The Pure Land.
Yeah. And with that rebirth comes the development of supernatural abilities.
Supernatural abilities.
Things like clairvoyance, clairaudience, chur, and others. It's all laid out in Amitabha's 48 vows.
So it's like a long-term investment.
In a way. But the principle of resonance leading to specific outcomes remains consistent.
Okay, that makes sense. So besides these specific practices with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, are there other ways this resonance thing shows up?
Yeah, the text mentions some broader applications, like just being together in a peaceful state.
Like a group meditation.
Can be. But even without formal practice, that shared presence can generate positive resonance.
Like a feeling of peace that spreads throughout the group.
Exactly. And this resonance, it can also help with things like overcoming negative karma and suffering. Interesting. And it can even help you accomplish things. The idea is aligning with positive frequencies disrupts negative patterns and creates better conditions.
So it's like choosing the right vibes.
Exactly. And the text emphasizes how collective practices can amplify this effect.
Collective practices.
Like group chanting meditation, even communal confession.
Oh, okay.
The combined mental and vocal waves create this super powerful field of resonance.
So it's like the energy of the group working together.
Right. And there's this really interesting idea about laziness or wandering thoughts.
Or about them.
Well, the text suggests that we can actually use them by intentionally directing those wandering thoughts towards Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Okay.
We can let their resonance subtly influence us. It's like passively absorbing good energy just by shifting our focus.
So even when our minds are all over the place, we can still benefit.
Exactly. And this leads to a big question. What actually happens when that resonance is established?
Yeah, what's going on behind the scenes?
The text says the merits and abilities of those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are transmitted to us through that connection.
It's like downloading their powers.
Sort of. It's more than just feeling inspired. It's a tangible transfer of positive qualities and potential.
Wow. So to sum it all up, it sounds like the key takeaway here is that our thoughts and intentions have a real impact.
Definitely.
And this resonance thing, it can shape our lives, connect us with bigger energies, both in everyday life and in the spiritual realm.
Right. It's a new way of looking at how our inner world interacts with the outer world.
And how we can use that knowledge to create positive change.
Exactly.
And I love how the source ends with this thought-provoking statement. The things you need most, the very, very most, they can vibrate back to you.
Sure. So what waves are you sending out? What are you hoping to resonate with?
Yeah, think about it. What could you achieve if you consciously directed your thoughts and intentions with this idea of resonance in mind?
That's something to ponder until our next deep dive.
Definitely lots to explore.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Until next time.
See.
Bye.